Well, them always close. Can't get work once it white collar. So if you can't stretch your dollar, it's later for you crack or smoke your pipe. You're short or dead from gripe. Life does rape dignity and pride. Till there's only bitterness left inside. And every day is a hustle. Arguments are settled with muscle. Till you're 6 feet deep by 3 feet wide. Children through life keep on drifting. It's something they're smoking or sniffing. Or maybe they're trying to forget this life of misery and regret. No one to come to their rescue except Capleton and Boujou. So they boom boxes the Lego. The drunk out voices from the ghetto. Voices from the ghetto, crying, 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 crying. Voices from the ghetto, crying. I was born and bred in the ghetto. I know what I'm talking about, you know. I'm from the ghetto, voices from the ghetto. The sun rises slowly over the hills. Everywhere is gold and sunlight, but still, most nights with hotels are crowded. There are days where dark clouds are shrouded. They don't smile and they never will. Only volunteers get the fill. Empty promises is what they hear. No running water from year to year. Hearts that no one desire. That if there is a Messiah, someday he'll hear their whispered prayer. Covered always bare and scanty. 10 people in a one-bedroom shanty. Forced to sell on the pavement. No vacancy, no employment. Cattle fire cracker from gunshot. Blood does flow when things get hot. Afraid to look out the window to hear voices from the ghetto. Crying, 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 Lord, Lord, crying, crying. Voices from the ghetto. Crying, 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 Lord, Lord, crying. Voices from the ghetto. Help us, Father. Oh, Lord. Mothers just hold their head on ball. And them woman stronger than a wall. A big pusher eyeing she daughter. Son in jail for manslaughter. Too bad for he name bad boys. No bail, that's the black man's choice. Like Shadow say, poverty is hell. She little girl child belly start to swell. Some say life is a cycle, but don't draw she no circle. Where will it all end? Only time could tell. Outside the siren keep howling. Inside your belly will growling. Police raid very often. Simpson measuring a coffin. One night in bed you're sleeping. Next night is a weight that you're keeping. So you Voices from the ghetto, crying, Lord, crying, hear them pleading, crying. Voices from the ghetto. A hand to us, Lord. We are not a forgotten people. Hear our prayer. Dented pride, they soldier on. Revolutions, bait politicians born. And often their tragic story brings a journalist glory. No wonder they view the world with scorn. From since the day they born, some call them rebels without a cause. These social victims of unjust law, the heroes, renegades, desperados, forever knocking on heaven's doors. Hear me? Steel band music shatters the silence, harmony to conquer the violence. Big men run when cops approach, fighting for scraps with the cockroach. Young Turks, they're tough, protecting almost every young girl expecting. So tomorrow beds still a borrow, there'll be another voice from the ghetto, crying, Lord, crying, crying. Voices from the ghetto, crying. Pitico, mama, pitico, papa, crying. Voices from the ghetto. Social amenities, Lord, heaven knows. Opportunities, well, them always close. Can't get work once it white collar. So if you can't stretch your dollar, it's later for you crack or smoke your pipe. You're short of dead from gripe. Life does rape dignity and pride. Till there's only bitterness left inside. Arguments are settled with muscle till you're 6 feet deep by 3 feet wide. Children through life keep on drifting. It's something they're smoking or sniffing. Or maybe they're trying to forget this life of misery and regret. No one to come to their rescue except Capleton and Boujou. So they boom boxes the Lego to drown out voices from the ghetto. Voices from the ghetto, crying, 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 crying. Voices from the ghetto, crying. I was born and bred in the ghetto. I know what I'm talking about, you know. I'm from the ghetto.
pack up your valise, BNM have to go. Just now is election, we bringing back UNC.
Anil is back to deal with the BNM. And to you on the radio, and to you watching on TV, do not adjust your dial. It is Anil you're seeing right here, live and direct. Never went anywhere. Because the douglAR can talk either way. Because the douglAR can talk either way.
Good evening and welcome to douglAR Politics. That was like, but actually right on time. Traffic was nice. Let me tell you, I have to big up my one sponsor. It's called Body by Becky. It's my daughter, fitness trainer, personal trainer, highly qualified. Body by Becky. You check it out. Check out on Instagram at body underscore Becky. Check it out. You have at least 18 pounds COVID-19 lockdown. Lose that. Yes, it's my daughter. That's my boss. That's my sponsor. You're getting hard workout with a nicer, softer temperament than her father. She more like her mother, but she brighter than she father, and you're getting good exercise. So Body by Becky, sponsoring douglAR Politics. I'm wearing white today for the first half because I don't know who, but somebody said we should wear white for our angel gone too soon, 2-year-old Anaya McLeod. I had to pause to say the name because my little daughter's name is Anaya. It's spelled differently, but same pronunciation. Anaya McLeod, who was brutally murdered by some idiot. So, condolences to her family, her friends, her mommy, her granny, everybody, on the passing of Anaya McLeod, an angel gone too soon. Now, I've been observing what's going on in Guyana and what has been going on in Venezuela. And I started to look inward at Trinidad and Tobago, and I started to get very worried. We had certain institutions that were supposed to be independent. Now, why are these independent institutions important? In a society where politics is subconscious and based on masses, and we've been subconsciously programmed when it's election time to somehow go into clans, to go into all of a sudden it's not Trini, we had to divide. That's been programmed and well programmed for over 58 years. So independence is very important. In this independent institution, independent thought. Because even though I give you all facts, and I will never lie on Rowley, Smallpin, Faris, Al-Rawi and them, even though I detest them, I will never come here and lie on them. Anytime I tell you something, it's factual, well-researched, and from 4 or 5 sources, okay? Now, they don't reciprocate. They're the most disgusting human beings. They will lie on you just straight face, you understand? But as them, I ain't going so, okay? As Mrs. Obama say, when them go low, we go high. But I say, we go factual. When them go low, we go factual. So, y'all know I'm a UNC. And I tell you that so that you know that. So when you're listening to me, you can know that whatever bias I have, it's out there, open. And you can take the information, assess it for yourself. Many people have been on radio, TV, whatever, have their internal bias and they keep it secret and pretend to be independent. That's dangerous. That's corrupt. That's not funny. JW, others, okay? So when you have independent institutions, this is very important because they leave some balance in the society, some fairness that will stop the society from going into a state of anarchy. When a large enough part of the population feels that they're not going to be fairly treated, problems exist. That's why independent institutions are key. And I started to think about some of our independent institutions. And you ever started at a position, got into your research, and the more you research, the more frightened you became? I kind of had a general understanding that our independent institutions were no longer independent because they had been corrupted and changed and warped by years of PNM. And this one, this Rottweiler, this raging bull is worse than all. This raging bull have bankers, billionaires, millionaires, businessmen, consultants, finance people, CEOs, oil companies, afraid, you know. They're afraid to say anything because they know the vindictive nature of him. Why do you think you seen a little small company get $3.625 billion in 4 years and 10 months and not a dog bark? Nobody vex. Competition's supposed to be fair. If you compete for something and you're supposed to win and they rob you and they rob you and you wouldn't be angry. But we just be angry and quiet because we frightened to lose whatever it is that we had or feel we could get or whatever else because they're afraid the powerful person in charge. So let's go through some of our independent institutions and see if you fare like me for this society. Because, my goodness, I got, unless you're soft at talking, I get frightened. The EBC, the Elections and Boundaries Commission, supposed to be fiercely independent. Not no UNC, not no PNM, not supposed to have, they're supposed to have somebody there who don't like UNC and don't like PNM. They only want to know the law and fairness and let the people vote. They have a PNM minister niece there. Understand that? And the media and everybody, all of you, they say that's okay. That's not okay. How could that be okay? Would it be okay if my niece was there? No, it would not be okay. But it's acceptable because it's a PNM. And then look at her uncle. Her uncle makes the most racist. I'm not saying that the niece so. But racism is taught. Racism is socialized. Passionate racism about UNC, Indian, neon, African neck. The last time I checked, his niece, Maxwell Coffee niece, is African. And he's a PNM. And he's a member of parliament for the PNM. That's your EBC. That's in charge of free and fair elections. That's in charge of your democracy. Who appoints all the returning officers. Who makes the rules. Who ensures the security of the ballot boxes, who does special voting and serious things. If that don't worry you all, well, okay. The Parliament and the Senate. Yes, it's always a political appointee from the government. But never before in history, if you even look at Wade Mark. Yes, he's a UNC, but Wade Mark used to buff me more than anybody. Because he was kind of middle-ish. Okay, let me say he was 60% UNC, 40% PNM. Wade Mark used to make me apologize, all kind of thing. This wrongs Bridget, and he said, George, like every day before she pawned her robe and things, she just drink a whole jug of Balisay juice. And Kangaloo, if a global pandemic, the first in our lifetime that we could remember, if a global health pandemic cannot qualify for urgent debate, what could? Independent senators. Well, you all have seen that bench being warped by PNM since under Patrick Manning. The appointment of Helen PNM Drayton, for example, Mr. Small, Senator Small, who not there no more, but he on NIQUAN board. You know who's NIQUAN? On with a permanent secretary, Alison Lewis, a company that the PNM Franklin can and them sell our assets, the World GTL, that they take the case off of Malcolm Jones, and the World GTL that Alison Lewis advised our government when I was a minister, that is dead money. Don't put no more money in that. That thing ain't good. So you ain't put no more money? As we come out of government, she jumped on a Port Authority PNM board, a permanent secretary in Ministry of Finance, who was guiding our financial policy and rules. And then she also jumped on NIQUAN board, and PNM Franklin can give them ministerial gas and sell them the assets worth $3 billion for $30 million US, of which they pay $10 million US. And they say they're going and get $100 million loan to start up. I thought it was bad money, you see. The Integrity Commission, You remember there are integrity commissioner who jump out and say, I can't make this up, you know. That even though they weren't emails, you have to investigate the content. You remember that? And then that same integrity commissioner is now given by the PNM lots of lucrative jobs to conduct investigation at Angostura Commission of Inquiry and so on. And y'all are happy with that? Integrity Commission supposed to be, the Integrity Commission supposed to be kind of biased against the government. Because opposition don't spend no money. The government does spend your money. So you need some people in there who's so independent that they only want to check government. Because if a sitting attorney general could give himself, sit in a cabinet and award himself or his own building 23 million rent for 3 years and then 38 million to outfit his own building, and the Integrity Commission had nothing to say about that, well, something is wrong. And saying that you recuse yourself means that attorney general have no power. Furthermore, secondly, if he did recuse himself, then the decision to rent his building, that cabinet note could not have been approved, because without the attorney general there is no cabinet. So which one is the truth? So therefore any rent paid on that Alexander tree is null and void and illegal and illegitimate, because the cabinet could not have approved it because he recused himself. You cannot just appoint a sitting attorney general on the spot. You have to send the prime minister to write the president, and the president has to send back a standing appointment. That was not done. So either way you take it, there should be investigation, but not so independent. Permanent secretaries are the ones who are supposed to be totally independent. Them should not even vote at all, really and truly. I mean, I can't say people can't vote, but in theory, because a permanent secretary is the main accounting officer for each ministry. Whichever government win, the permanent secretary is to guide the government. Say you want to do a policy, you want to hand out water to children. They will tell the minister, listen, this is the way you do that. If we have 5 companies that supply water and so on, you invite them to tender and go through. You have a committee here, and they guide you. They do the cabinet note and so on. But if they're supporting the next side, do you think they go guide you properly? Or will they try to misguide you and then share information to the other side whom they lying down and hugging up with? All you find out a strong lying down and hugging up with. Colm Imbert, sister-in-law. His brother's wife, Clement Imbert, wife is a PS. Zephyrin, who on charges with Marlene, who was liming with Rowley in his birthday party, 70th in Tobago, when the Alsing was sitting down there like a pommy one, like nobody want to lime with him. Zephyrin's wife is a permanent secretary. Maxi Coffee wife, auntie of the head of the EBC, is a permanent secretary. When I first went in the ministry, they had a permanent secretary they used to call Canal Kongs. She had Balize all up in she throat. What about the permanent secretary who went into the Ministry of Sport in one day, and when the former permanent secretary was telling Grabby Wabby that taxpayer money is not for your business. If you want to grab pum pum and thing, sort out that on your own. They move Rowley. The only person can move permanent secretaries is the Prime Minister. No minister can move no permanent secretary, only the Prime Minister. Keith Christopher Rowley moved that permanent secretary who was telling Grabby Wabby, no, leave taxpayer dollars alone. We are not on that. That don't follow no Ministry of Finance rules. Rowley moved that permanent secretary, Ian Ramadan, and put him in the office of the Prime Minister, sitting down there watching paint. Replaces him with a hand-picked permanent secretary. She reached one day and say, hey, it's pum pum, look, 150,000, and sign off. And you all find that's good for our democracy and our treasury and proper procurement and proper implementation, fairness in the society. I ain't done, you know. The DPA, who appoints and promotes throughout over the last 40, 50 years, the United National Congress in court has won about 7 cases, one just recently, where a lady who was not promoted due to her rank, seniority, and education won about $700,000 in back pay and so on. Because promotion is handled. If you appoint a person in that DPA spot, they control. And let me tell you, when I was a minister, the DPA then didn't even want to tell me good morning in the palace. You know me, and then, morning, everybody, good morning. She watched me like, if looks could have killed, she'd have put her knee on my neck. And that's the lady in charge of all the promotions in the public service. Are you all happy with that? You can't be. You cannot be. Your country cannot run good like that. Independent institutions are important because those people who speak on behalf of independence, the people will listen more. That's why some of these newspapers pretend they're independent and try to lie when we know what their agenda really is. When I talk independent, even independent senators now that are a little better than the set before, how are you all abstaining on a vote? There is a critical piece of legislation that could mako we, she mako me, and she mako she. Mr. Faris lost 26K straight, bringing that to mako he and a mako she. Madness. And 6 independent senators read through a bill and abstain. If you cannot read through a bill and come to a decision, yea or nay, resign. An independent senator is not to abstain when you have PNM, UNC, and it's in a balance. You all have to tip the balance in favor of the country. Because all they might say, UNC bias, PNM bias, but you all are independent. But like all you're independent and lazy. So all you read a whole bill and then come and say, abstain. Well, resign if you cannot do your work. Your draws in a pay, but you want to criticize everybody. Your work is to vote, and you abstain. Well, come how the people work. Labor unions are supposed to be fiercely independent, fiercely just for workers. So therefore, government come like mosquito for labor union. Whatever government, even though I am a labor man, labor union not supposed to like me. Them supposed to come and sit down so. What you saying? And start to negotiate. You have Roger, a man who stand up there and let Keith Christopher Rowley decimate the most powerful union in the history of the Caribbean. And after firing all, this so-called labor union leader didn't resign, you know. Your job is to keep people work. Everybody lost their work. Except you. Oh God. This Trinidad and Tobago, you see, and I now start, you know. And now in his Labor Day speech, Roger did not attack the Prime Minister who fired his troops, who fired his people, who took food off the table, who starved the Petrochin workers' children. He attacked Kamala. When Kamala's Prime Minister all they had work, he blamed Kamala, you know. So now labor unions are not independent. Them is PNM. Moving on, we have a long, only halfway, you know. You all frightened yet? Let's see what other independent institutions we're supposed to have. Well, the fourth estate, the media. The media not supposed to like anybody. No. Okay. There are media houses in the world that take a political ideology, philosophy, and support. They have some, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, they support either Republican, Democrat, and so on. Acceptable. In Trinidad and Tobago, anytime you turn on your radio, TV, or you read the newspapers, each one of our 3 dailies are saying they are the bestly independent, investigative journalism of the highest order. Bringing your news for 150 years. Yes. With Asha Javid, who loving up a man on one side, that's fiercely independent. With Anika Gum Sandyford, wherever it roll. With Judy Raymond, friendlier to one side than the next, choosing, and an editor choosing columnists and putting columns, choosing editorials, choosing what stories to eliminate, what front page, what picture to put, what question to put in the opinion pages, and saying fiercely independent. When they lie, our fourth estate is a total and complete joke. And later on in this episode, I'll show you why. Because the Delcy thing, Astrobal Chavez, Maduro, Rowley Smallpin thing, ladies and gentlemen, Share the live. It got worse. Yeah, douglAR did the research for the media. So call and share. Tell some media personnel to watch. Because me and K, I don't want credit. Let them take my information and go and find the truth. Go and dig deeper. Go and ask the questions. But the story got worse. Remember I told y'all, Newman George, you should not have written that full page ad. Remember I held it up for y'all? And I said you should not have put this in writing. Well, he should not have put it in writing. So share the live, please. I'll come in with that just now when I finish this topic because I'm frightened. I'm not taking a break till I finish this topic, you know. I might go half an hour straight because I get frightened. And I want to know if all are frightened too. If you all are frightened yet, I now reach halfway. So our Coast Guard supposed to be independent. They're supposed to protect our borders, protect each and every one of us, stay apolitical, and out of that. Do you know that our Coast Guard, that distracted me. Are we still on good or are we going in and out? We good, Archie? Oh, right. Our Coast Guard, with this government, Stuart Smallpin Young and Keith Christopher Rowley just decide to jump on a plane and go to Australia and get 2 ferry after collapsing the sea bridge. No procurement, no board, no advertisement, no competition, no evaluation, no cabinet, no nothing. But all you say other people thief, right? But all you say that's okay. And while they down there, as if it's dinner mint them buying, as if it's hot dog, as if it's double. You want the next one, boy? What you want? Sliced pepper? Them just gone and buy 2 Cutlass defense ships without an audit from the Coast Guard, without a cabinet note from the Ministry of National Security put in by the Coast Guard Chief of Defense Staff, who did an audit of his vessels and equipment and recommended. None of that. Them gonna just buy 2 vessels and come back and tell the Coast Guard big boy, go and tell them that thing nice. And he running, yes, these things are good. You're not, that don't bother all you. No government supposed to do that. You are the Coast Guard, you are the expert. Smallpin, that dunce, could be more expert in Coast Guard and defense. When we have 14 vessels, every week I go fishing. All of them park up there because Smallpin and Rowley not buying diesel for them. And them just going down there and say, yes, give me 2 of that. 500 million, no problem. But other people thief, right? Not Rowley and Smallpin and PNM and Al-Rawi and Franklin Khan and Winfred Espinay. None of them. Not Noel Garcia and Newman George and none of those. Oh my goodness. The army supposed to protect all our end. Anything. Venezuelans, whoever come in to take week over the army. What happened with the investigation? The army with the Faris, Johnny Sukaran, who say it he children, yeah, admit he children yet. Where the investigation? Where it reach? If it was a UNC, that investigation finished 4 years ago. And minister resigned, get pelt out, all kind of thing. You all find that good? Okay. I don't like to bring the president into any discussion. However, even though all of us support the president, I find the president is a lady of class and so on. Brilliant lawyer, brilliant judge, intelligent, brilliant woman. However, recently, when the president's house, a former slave plantation, was rebuilt for some astronomical sum of 106 million, while our children were not getting their school feeding, no laptop, no baby milk grant, VAT back on food, people suffering, people losing their jobs, Petrotrin shut down. My president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago said that this was history and we should stand and salute, and started to tell people to come and pull lots to go and tour a former slave house and make the government feel like they spend money good. So she jumped in the political realm. She should have just stayed quiet and stay out of that, because there was debate raging on whether that money was well spent, waste of time, or whether it could have been spent elsewhere. Also, when she made her throne speech, it's about a year, and I don't like to talk about the president, you know. But the president made her throne speech, and in her speech, when she was alerting the population to the starvation, the loss of jobs, the insecurity because of crime, the fear out there in the population. People were worried, the lack of investment, the lack of diversification, the problems to get foreign exchange and so on. When she was making her throne speech, she gave equal blame to the government and opposition, knowing full well, better than me, because she's brighter than me by far, that the government is responsible. The opposition cannot even get a question on an order paper. The opposition cannot even get to debate COVID. The opposition does not control 1 red cent of taxpayers' dollars. The opposition does not bring 1 piece of legislation. The opposition does not create 1 policy to create investment in the economy. But when the president is speaking, she talks and gives both. She lash both. No, that's obfuscation. That's politics. If you're in charge, if the government is in charge, and after 4 years you are seeing all that pain, look at the government and tell them. So you see, it's another independent institution that we have to watch cookie eye. Political scientists who the newspapers choose. You see again, so the 4th estate now, the lack of independence trickles down and has a multiplier effect, because the editors choose which political scientists to print and what to print. Because when you do an interview, if you interview me, you feel my interview could really fit in 1,500 words, I just talk 1,500 words in about 45 seconds. Right? So the editor have to edit what I say and so on. But yet, these editors always find Winford James. Oh, Winford, what do you think about that? Well, Winford PNM James. They find Dr. Bishnu Raghunath. Oh, well, he's an Indian, so he must be more on UNC. No. Senator, not on UNC. They find Derek Ramsamouj. Right? That's who them that's fine. And sometimes they find a lady who's leaned to with Indira Sajawan Ali. So you tell me that is the only 4 political scientists for the last 10 years who are worthy of being quoted? The other political scientists at the beginning of the COVID, on CNC3, Rowley Central, they interview he from England. Kamal Georges thought he was going to lose his work. Because when that man he started a lambaste Rowley policy, how it's too elitist, how the committee had nobody, and how the funding is not good, and how poor people suffering. And if you see Kamal want to interrupt the man, but you know what station you're on or what? I'm telling you, we ain't done yet, you know. If you all are not scared yet, understand what is happening here. The Council for Ethical Elections, well, I done mash them up already, all you know, waste of time. The procurement regulator, well, the procurement legislation I even get proclaimed. Rowley and them, Kamala put it there and it was there. Rowley in opposition would call me, but tried to scuttle it and didn't come to the JSC and so on. Come into government saying them Indian thief, we come in with procurement. Election come in, procurement legislation not proclaimed, but they appoint a procurement regulator, Munira Lalchan. He draws in a pay nearly 20 months now with nothing to do but observe the worst procurement in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. He observing ministers procuring vessels, ministers purchasing galleons passage, ministers procuring 2 billion in 2 ferry and 2 cutlass vessels, ministers renting their own building. He just sitting down there, draws in the pay and watching that and going, this Nescafe isn't good, boy. But here the funny part, shouldn't that procurement regulator be an independent person who don't like Anil and Kamala and the UNC and who don't like PNM, they just like Trinidad and Tobago and they want value for money? Shouldn't that be a person you have to scour the earth, the rocks, Trinidad and Tobago, and go in every nook and cranny and find that human being? Them appoint a man, he was a former chairman of a PNM board. And you all say that's okay. So you put a former chairman of a P&M board to regulate P&M procurement, and we say, brilliant. Transparency International. You forget when Kamala was in government? Every minute anything happened, this is Transparency International jump out like them had verbal diarrhea. My brother Derek Murray, this, that, but that's wrong, and the procurement to do as government change. Like he take kaopectate, diarrhea dry up, no more verbal diarrhea, like he get pip, according to the bald head Oreo, right? Guess what happened? Derek Murray was put on some state board, straight out of Transparency International, onto a P&M state board. And then that wasn't good enough. He is now the P&M representative to Jamaica. Ambassadorial, what a reward. And you all have no problem with that. Why is it that we have no problem with that? Is that fair? Is that just? When you have two sides battling for fairness and you need a referee? The referee wearing red. If you are red and yellow, the referee is supposed to wear black and white. But in our country, all the referees have on red. And all you find that's okay. Let's try another one. The Auditor General Office. When we in government 2010 to 2015, the Auditor General did not audit THS till 2003. When we in office, the Auditor General report getting leaked before, so year on year it coming and getting leaked. And they're leaking it even before the permanent secretaries have an opportunity to correct. Because you know, an Auditor General report is a draft. It goes to the permanent secretary of each ministry and says, these are the problems we have seen. We have not gotten vouchers for this, that. We need paperwork, X amount. The permanent secretaries get their staff and the A05, A04 and so on. They sit down and they put a response back to the Auditor General, who would then look through and say, okay, this off, okay, right, nice, I see this. And then the final report. When Kamala in government, Auditor General draft report that's make the papers. You all understand what I'm saying? Imagine, for example, the aquatic center in Couva with the 250-meter pool and the 25-meter diving well with all the big diving well and so on. I think that came up to about 120 million. Back in the day, when Manning and Gary Hunt and them was trying to build it and thinking and so on. Sorry. The aquatic center, the cycling velodrome, and the tennis center came up to about 740 million. All three. Back in the day, the original thing was for the aquatic center, and they had an estimate, not a detailed engineering budget with nothing, of 40 million. You know the Auditor General report had that rubbish day, and that make a front page of the news day. Corruption in sport. How the aquatic center ballooned from 40 million to 760 million. Number one, you can't build a 50-meter, 250-meter, and a 25-meter for no 40 million. Manning built a 25-meter in Kokie in 2007, 2008 for 30 million, okay? This is 250-meter by 25-meter, two of the biggest pool in the world, right? Plus a diving well deep, that your ears just bust. But that's what happens. But now under the P&M, Auditor General reporters stay back. And then when it come out, it's really the final report. It's still terrible. But it don't make it into the papers first. You just only hear it when the Auditor General talk about it. But when the UNC in power, Auditor General, in fact, we just read Auditor General report. Before we see it in cabinet, we just read it on the front page. That's good. Okay, no problem. What about the central bank governor? The central bank governor is supposed to be so fiercely independent, you can't understand. The central bank is in charge of monetary policy. That deals with the supply and demand of money. That deals, they control that with certain instruments, the repo rate and so on, the reserve requirement for banks, commercial banks and so on. So that they are a countermeasure to the executive, the government's fiscal policy, right? But here we have a former central bank governor hounded off out of office by a current sitting Dwen and replaced by a friendly central bank governor who's so beholden for his position that he agreed to put the population under stress last year, December, to agree to a 2-week or a 3-week change out of $100 cotton notes. And telling us, the central bank governor is telling the population, well, this is a national security issue and we must do this for that. That is not your work. You are not in charge of national security. You are in charge of money supply. You must ensure a smooth transition with as little disruption to your clients, which is your people. You are not to get involved with the government national security policy, you clown. But we sit down there where I am not a finance expert. I don't have a PhD in finance. Where are all our finance experts? Why am I having to tell you all this? Why did they not condemn the central bank governor? Why didn't they put him in his place so that the country could run properly? Aren't you all worried yet? Oh Lord. Well, when we come back, and I must say at this juncture, thank God for the judiciary, because that's the only place you could go there and argue and the truth will eventually come out. It does take long. And then you see now, these PNM politicians like to play games, because according to Colm Imbot, who boasted in the parliament that he read Mein Kampf, who boasts that they read and study Mein Kampf? That when you throw lies, if you repeat a lie enough, it becomes truth. That's what they do. Disgusting. So the judiciary, at least we have that. Tell them to interfere with that. It needs to speed up because the truth does take long to come, and then the damage is already done. However, I'm very scared now, because the last most important independent institution is, yes, well, the DPP is okay. They are okay. The police. The police. The police must be so fiercely independent. There must be no pretense. There must be no insinuation. There must be no apparent bias. Police must be so independent, because the confidence of the entire population is a must for police to maintain law and order in the country. Anytime that trust is eroded or eliminated, we up the creek without a paddle. But I am becoming worried about our police. And I'm going to show you why. And you make up your own mind. So we went through the whole list, from EBC to Parliament to Senate to independent senators to permanent secretaries to DPA to labor unions to the Fourth Estate to Coast Guard to President, the Army to political scientists. All of these things are supposed to be independent. They are warped. They have been tarnished. Now you're all wondering why nothing working in this country, and why there's a perception, even though one government does so good, and you're getting food, you're getting cheaper food, you're getting more food planted, more funding for agriculture, more schools built, your children have more opportunities, equity in the society, roads better, sea bridge better, more foreign exchange, more diversification, more jobs. But yet there is still a competition. Now you see why. So my police are coming back to deal with you all, because I'm getting worried about the police that's supposed to be fiercely independent. I don't know what's going on with all here. Not all. But in police, a few bad apples, a few biased ones could stain the whole team, because police is a team. It's the epitome of a team. We coming back. and welcome back to douglAR Politics. Here you have, and I must commend the Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith, because he understands what I am saying. Gary Griffith sent a very strong message to all his forces. Dwayne O'Connor, policeman, went and tried to screen while being an active policeman for the PNM. The attorney representing police officer Calypsonian and one-time PNM political aspirant Dwayne O'Connor confirmed on Thursday that O'Connor has been suspended from the police service. At the weekly police media briefing on Thursday, Police Commissioner Gary Griffith confirmed a police officer was suspended for political activities. Excellent, Gary Griffith. Where have we lost the plot? Now, y'all just think about that for a moment. A police officer has the authority under some of our laws to take away your freedom, sometimes for a period of 120 days without bail. This is awesome power. This power must be wielded fairly, impartially, without bias or without seeming to be biased in any form or fashion. But you as an active police and you screening for a political party when half the country on the other side or more. But it got worse. That's what got me thinking, this thing with Gary Griffith suspended there. Because also added to that, I know in the last screening at Queen's Hall, which is all your state resource, and all you find that's okay too. You're supposed to keep state resources independent. You must not have political events and political activities in your parliamentary member of parliament office. You must not have these political institutions utilizing state resources for political activities. But all they don't care, PNM gone and screen in Queen's Hall. Queen's Hall is not Balize House. They ain't built a school. But I see Balize House, I passed by Beacon Insurance there today. Balize House reach out the ground. You ain't built a school, but you built a Balize House. But I saw policemen screening for PNM. Mr. Seals, former head of the police union and whatever, screen for PNM. An ex-policeman, Dinoon, screen for PNM. Glenda Jennings Smith was a police. And a few others. But me ain't seen none screen for UNC. Apparent bias. Why is that? You see? Very serious. Then I see today, there's some fella called Ed Reed. I don't know, he's a PNM political blogger and thing. Me, I know he. But I saw that he died. And when I was reading what somebody wrote, I read it because I saw Fatima logo. It's Fatima. So I said, well, let me see who is Fatima who dead. And when I was reading what they put Ed Reed, a former police, listen carefully, a former police officer, and they put his badge number and thing with pride. And an ardent, fanatical supporter of the People's National Movement. And nobody who typed that found that something is wrong with that. Are you all not understanding the power that police have? When you're in certain jobs, you have to forego certain passionate affiliations because your job is so fiercely independent and so powerful that you have to treat that with respect and you cannot bring down your team. So they are boasting that this policeman, his claim to fame, and they both like from years since he's a junior officer, he's a PNM. And y'all don't see something wrong with that? Next thing, I ain't done there to tell you two little things can make me worried about police is a very important thing. But a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, Rhoda Barrett, the lady who we found out was being paid by NLCB without proper procurement for the job. No advertisement, no other people invited to be interviewed, no competition, no public servants, HR committee, nothing. She was just called in and given her work. but never told nobody nothing. And when Devan Maharaj bring it out, she says race. It's not race, look, the douglAR talking to you, the black man talking to you. Please tell me the proper procurement. Who else competed with you for that job, Rhoda Barrett? But you like to talk about corruption. That is corrupt. When you are using state resources, you have to follow a procedure. HR rules state that once you have a position, first and foremost, they created a position for you. NLCB cannot create a position to be paid by taxpayers' dollars. The correct process would have been that the NLCB board would have written to the Ministry of Finance, the permanent secretary, and say, we need this chaos communication position. Please put the correct steps in place. A cabinet note would have gone from the Minister of Finance to the cabinet, suggesting that this position be created. On reaching the cabinet note would have had to go to the PMCD, which is under the Ministry of Public Administration, for assessment, for perks, for salary, and so on. Then the cabinet note would have to come back from the Ministry of Public Administration and then go back to the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance will then issue instructions to the board of NLCB to advertise the position, to create an HR committee, to interview, to score, and when that process is done, send it back to the cabinet. None of that happened when Rhoda Barrett does get work. But she like to talk corruption. And Devan Maharaj is a racist. Well, Anil is a racist now. I am asking you, Rhoda Barrett, tell me the process you went through to get your work. That's all. Because I know the process. But Rhoda Barrett just the other day, calling out police business about Barry Padarat. Rhoda Barrett talking police business. Rhoda PNM Barrett. Rhoda Balize and Rice. How she got that information? That don't worry all you. The police didn't come and give Anil the information. The UNC man. How a PNM blogger who's not a police, not connected with police, has information on police investigation. And you all think that's okay? Is it? Furthermore, all of you talk about Barry Padarat. What ministry Barry Padarat had in the last government? Barry Padarat had no ministry, he had no decision-making power, he had nothing. It had 33 ministers, it had 173 chairmen of board, it had 3,625 board members. All you can't charge none of them, all you going at Barry? Because it couldn't be as an opposition senator, opposition members of parliament don't even get $1. And under this PNM, they don't even get hamper to give out, they just give PNM candidate all your state resources to hand out. And you all find that's okay? I ain't done there, no. Judy Raymond the other day, Boston police sources say the douglAR and a live sport police, you could investigate from up, down, 6 years, 10 years, 60 years. Anil Roberts follows process. So Anil Roberts, the minister, is not involved in any way, form, or fashion. So you could go and investigate from now till your nose turn green. But the point is, how does Judy Raymond, the PNM editor, get information from police sources? All you understand that? In Parliament, the Minister of National Security, you see, when I get scared, it's not on one little thing. I don't make serious statements on one little stupidness, you know. The Minister of National Security, Stuart Smallpin-Young, after falsely claiming that they were members of the UNC opposition who were paying killers to randomly and sporadically kill citizens, and that he had information to that, which means that members of parliament of the UNC, this man still has a job. Understand what he accused, what he said, you know, and you all just move on. Stuart Young said they were members of the UNC in Parliament who were paying criminals to randomly and sporadically kill innocent Trinbagonians in order to push up the murder rate to get political mileage. A total and complete lie. Then he went in the Joint Select Committee and so on. And then all of a sudden, it dropped from here down to, oh, they have UNC MPs who are messaging or receiving messages from people of interest, persons of interest, criminals, gang members. A member of parliament does not know who's a gang member and who's a person of interest. That is police business. If they are person of interest and gang member, lock them up. A parliamentary representative, whether PNM, UNC, whoever, is to go and meet any and everybody. They are not to go and to say, please show me your degree. Before I shake your hand, please tell me, do you have a certificate of good character? That's not an MP job. An MP swears on the Bible to do their functions without fear or favor, malice or ill will. So I don't know what you all are talking about. But when he went to give his evidence now, the Minister of National Security said on 7 occasions in the Parliament on the Hansard, do not take my word for it, go and read it. He said on 7 different occasions, police officers reported to me as Minister of National Security on the goings on of Jolene John when she is walking in La Hoqueta and going on and on and on. Police are not to report Minister of National Security. The police is independent. The executive must not control or get report from police investigation. This man said this openly in the Parliament. Where was the furor? Where were the newspapers? Where were the commentators who were saying, but no, stop, wrong? And you all think that's all right? So if this minister is getting reports, so police come into Stuart Smallpin Young, hey boy, Jolene was in La Hoqueta yesterday, and Bam Bam Balam talked to she and shake she hand and was walking there. Jolene doing she work and serving people, she ain't know who they, who not they, she don't know who have degree, who have O-level, who went to school, who could talk English, who does talk Spanish, who have on drawers, who ain't have on drawers, she doing she work. And none of y'all experts, none of the criminologists, none of them came out and said, but Stuart Young, slow your roll. How you have police reporting to you? You mean it have PNM police? And y'all didn't say anything. Okay. I ain't done yet. All you now getting worried. Okay. How did Camille Robinson Regis hold up in Parliament what has been determined by Rudal Munilal to have been a legitimate police warrant? How she got that? How does a PNM member of Parliament, who should have been under investigation, what did she case? She is telling people who come in for hand-panting, if you all sign something wrong on the form, that's a statutory declaration, and if you sign the wrong information, she will send police for you. Where the police for she? Look, election coming. Aren't you worried? How come the police slow down so much? Do you know in 2009, Vernon de Lima found that Calder Hart had perjured himself in the Commission of Inquiry. Stuart Young was his lawyer. Under cross-examination, Calder Hart said those men were not his family, they were not his brother-in-law. Vernon de Lima got the passports from Malaysia and so on to show that they were in fact his wife's brothers for the $369 million contract. That's 2009, 11 years ago. Me ain't talking about a whole corruption case and this and forensic audit. I'm talking about perjury. The last time I checked, perjury have a jail sentence of 10 years. Where that case? The last report said in 2017 or 16 that the police had failed to get a statement from Calder Hart yet. But Calder Hart all in Las Alturas, Commissioner of Inquiry, all kind of thing right there in Miami. So the police can't buy a ticket to Miami to get a statement from Calder Hart to deal with the perjury case? Or is there heavy investigation for Barry Padarat, Khadija Amin, Saddam Hussein, Munilal, UNC, and nothing for PNM? Isn't it worrying? I ain't done there yet. I ain't going into the next one too much. But the only case against former UNC members involves a man who convicted a lion. Okay, we'll see how that turn out. But you see, another election is going to come, and then that case will pass to the court. But we are going to vote now, and there will be no conclusion to that case. Who get charged with sedition? Watson Duke. Right now, and back then when he get charged. And there are some jokey charge before too, eh? They're picking on Watson Duke long time because they know PDP coming in Tobago, and y'all find it funny. It's not funny. Watson Duke get charged with sedition when the poll showed that Tobago East gone PDP already. And Tobago West, Shamfa, don't mind you looking cute girl as a minister of sport. You do nothing, but you're looking better. Right now, PDP neck and neck. All of a sudden, Watson Duke get a sedition charge. Well, how come Maxi Coffee get a sedition charge? Huh? How come many other PNM, how come 91.9, the whole of 91.9 get sedition charge? Satmaraj gets sedition charge. So sedition charge is only for opposition? When Small Pin Young said that the United National Congress members of parliament were paying criminals to randomly and sporadically kill innocent citizens, that's a whole group of people, 340,000 voters and members of the UNC. That's an entire group of people. Was that not seditious? Or y'all didn't investigate that? But Watson Duke is seditious? So seditious is just one side. I'm getting worried. Worried about the fairness, because let me tell you something. If people don't believe in the police, Gary Griffith is trying his best. Suspend, man, yes. Well done, Gary Griffith. But poor Gary Griffith, it's about 7,000 something police. He can't control all. But the police playing game, the few all here who feel all here is PNM police. All here playing games, because if the population lose faith in all here. UNC councillors on 3 occasions have been taken into police station and questioned because they protested. Okay. Name how many times PNM councillors get pulled into police station for questioning. You see the problems? Now, what about these cases? Police. What about the $1 billion missing in the THA? Any investigation on that? Give me a little update now. What about land aid? Now remember, the Integrity Commission report was thrown out because even though they found sufficient evidence to go to the DPP, they failed to advise the then minister, Keith Christopher Rowley, of the investigation or the completion of the investigation. So all of their work was thrown out. They could have done over the work because police could do whatever they want. All you ever did over anything? Or you just leave that? All right. What about Grabby Wabby? Not just the money paid, because the 150,000, no minister don't spend no money. So that is the permanent secretary. Well, it's good for she, because she was put there to do something that another permanent secretary wouldn't do. What about, I'm asking the police, is bid rigging still the law? Central Tenders Act of 1962, updated many times and amended. Is bid rigging against the law? Number one. Number two, did you all hear the Honorable Minister then, Stuart Smallpin Young, when he was alerting the population about the tender process conducted by his ministerial committee on the Hostal and Incat ferries, and he told the population that when they opened the bids, they saw that Hostal bid was higher and Incat bid was lower, and his committee took the secret information of Incat, made Hostal aware of Incat's secret bid, and Hostal lowered the price to closer to Incat. And the cabinet, Smallpin, who's in the cabinet, tells his Gary Sober's captain, hey, we go in and give one each. I don't know. What is bid rigging, Where that, is there any investigation in that? or we don't investigate red. You see my problem? And I don't know hard investigation. That demand statement is not like you hear he say, she say. That man so dotish, he come out and say that. And what are y'all doing? What about Dylan's gift? Rowley said that the minister got a gift, $1 million US apartment in Manhattan. I didn't know minister could get a gift. What about email gate and wasting police time? I have seen in the last year at least 4 people get charged and 30 days and all kind of thing for wasting police time. The fellow who take he boss money and went gambling, lost his money and then say he get kidnapped and he get charged, right? And some others. Keith Christopher Rowley had some documents that a 5-year-old child would have known was not emails. Keep it for 6 months. Call a motion of no confidence in a prime minister. Live for an hour and 15 minutes. No emails, nothing. And at the end of his thing, made sure that they would go to the DPP and the police for further investigation. The police take 6 years to investigate nothing. In his contribution, Rowley started off by saying why he had to lie, because in different jurisdictions, members of parliament could lie. So he knew he was lying. He knew the information was false. He knew it, held it for 6 months, brought it. That is not wasting police time, or wasting police time is just not for PNM. It's for everybody else. You see why I'm getting worried? What about the fake oil? Keith Rowley, the head of the National Security Council, says when Kamala bust the fake oil, he called the man. As the head of the National Security Council, he called a friend who is under allegation. And he telling the media, well, I call him and he say nothing wrong. And you all find that's all right. Keith Christopher Rowley, who was in charge of Petrotrin. Petrotrin was the one doing the audit and the first investigation and so on. Rowley's in charge of that. He's in charge of investigating his friend. Does not recuse himself. In fact, all the reports say do not shut down Petrotrin. Lashley report, McKinley report, $64 million say don't shut it down. But it shut down. Where the investigation? And Rowley put who they? An energy expert in charge of heritage, a bastion of oil and gas geology, a brilliant mastermind at global prices of downstream financing of oil and energy sector. No, Rowley put his personal lawyer there. Why it a court there? It a robe? It a silk? It a purple bag on your shoulder? Where you put a lawyer in, your personal lawyer in charge of heritage for? But that's okay. Investigate the UNC alone. Stuart Smallpin say, yes, there are police following. In the Hansard, Jolene John, Saddam, Munilal, Khadija, how Munilal had a meeting with some citizens here and then the meeting cancelled and all of this, and the police reporting to him. How police reporting to you? You have your own PNM police force? Poor Gary Griffith. But Marlene and Rowley take picture. By the way, the president with Berkey, where the investigation? They didn't text. They did not no text. Berkey, well, this country now, as I finish there, what's next? I'm going to tell you what's next. All you share the live, because Paria, you should not have written. The fuel gate fiasco is going to blow sky high right now. Share the live, share the live. Newman George, you're not too bright, my brother. You're not too bright. We coming back. and welcome back to douglAR Politics. I held up this for you all a few weeks ago. The fuel gate. Remind yourself now. Everybody studying COVID. 33 citizens in Barbados blanked. We embarrassed ourselves. Barbados did us a favor. Small pin. Arrogantly attacked the Bajans on their foreign policy and tell them about how people trying to use Barbados as a platform to come into Trinidad and Tobago and all kind of thing. 19 citizens in Margarita could not come. 35 down in Suriname could not come. Do you all remember? Get your minds back in frame. The borders had been closed on the 22nd of March. They were opened on the 26th for Delcy Rodriguez, the vice-presidente de Venezuela, to come here. She came with some friends and family. She came with some people them. Nobody knew. I think it was Suzette Lowe and them first people started to say, but did this land, did this come here? Munilal and them. Then Kamla started to investigate. And then the story started to break. And then when Kamla Prasad Bisesa held up the documents from the Immigration and Customs, we found out that it was Delcy Rodriguez, Astrubal Chavez, another PDVSA, and 4 other PDVSA men. Rowley then said they came to talk COVID-19, but no Parasram, no Dr. Trotman, no Minister Convent Girl voice, they all saying nothing. Just Rowley and Smallpin. And they could not talk COVID over Zoom or Skype or Facebook or video call. They had to talk face to face. And then Rowley started to stutter for the first time. When a pathological start to stutter, you know he catch good. I am now seeing for the first time what's his name? Somebody named Jobal Chavez. Somebody there, right? Okay. But I told y'all when this came out, I told you it was not signed, right? And I asked the other board members of Paria, and I asked them again today. I asked Mr. Peter Clark, did you endorse this? Do you agree with this? Because trouble will come. Former Minister Christine Sahadio, did you endorse this? Did you agree with the information on this? Is this factual? Do you put your signature and your reputation on this? Mr. Riza Salem, I don't know who you are, but I'm asking you too. Riza Salem, did you endorse this thing here that is in the papers that Anil have here, turning yellow, it a little curl up and so on? But I tell all you, don't put on that, you know. Okay. And Mr. Eustace Nances, former mayor of Arima, my brother, do you agree with this thing written here? I ask you now. Because Babylon Bubs will be calling just now. Okay? So have I given all your fair warning. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of information was put here. Let me give you information that was laid in the parliament recently, because the Senator, the Honorable Wade Mark, asked a question. And on Monday last, information was laid in the Senate by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, by Keith Christopher Rowley. And it's from that information my investigation began. Okay, let me give you the facts now. On February 27th, a shipment of 321,000 barrels of gas left Augusta, Italy, for destination Pointe-à-Pierre, Trinidad, February 27th. The consignee was to Shell. They got the requisite, Shell got the requisite European Union stamp and very serious cargo, all the legitimate documents. It was a cargo for Shell. Midway through the Atlantic on its way to Trinidad and Tobago, Pointe-à-Pierre, the cargo miraculously transformed from being a cargo for Shell to a cargo for Trafigura Pte. Limited. Trafigura Pte. Limited is a company that is closely related and a close long bond with Wilmer Rumperti, the Venezuelan business tycoon who has helped Chavez since 2001 to break sanctions, to bring gas, to bring shipments, to help Chavistas. Ruperti, you all have heard that name. So the cargo now coming to Trinidad, based on these documents given to Paria Limited, was not Shell, it's now Trafigura. So the ship arrived in Trinidad and Tobago's waters on the 16th of March. It's hung around outside there before docking on the 21st of March. On the 21st of March, the gas, 321,000 barrels, belonging to Wilmer Rumperti and his company Trafigura, was offloaded into our storage here at Paria. The borders were closed on the 22nd. Delcy Rodriguez, Astroval Chavez, and them came on the 26th. On the 27th, Paria said they started negotiation with EOS Trading out of Switzerland. EOS Trading, the director is the son of Wilmer Rumperti, baby Rumperti. You know, I don't even want to laugh because it's so sad. So EOS Trading, the son, came to Paria to buy daddy fuel. 200,000 plus barrels were then loaded onto a ship called the Aldan. Paria said the original port of call was St. Eustatius. After the ship left, Paria said by this document, they got information that it was not going to St. Eustatius, that they heard that it might be going to Venezuela. Paria also said in this that they did their due diligence, yet they did not know that Rumperti and Rumperti Venezuela. They thought Rumperti was a baseball player from Dominican Republic. Okay. Here's some problems now. Let me deal first and foremost with this ad, this press release. Okay? In point one, this press release from Paria Fuel Trading Company, unsigned, says, on March 28, 2020, ES Euro Shipping, that's baby Rumperti, the son, a company registered and based in Geneva, Switzerland, approached Paria Fuel Trading Company Limited to purchase gasoline with an initial destination to St. Eustatius. Remember back about 4 weeks ago I asked you, but please Paria, show me the ad or show me the website where, how did Rumperti and EOS know you had gas for sale? Who else wanted this gas? Where it was offered, you know, like you have a car for sale, it up on Facebook, it out, the car for sale, Mazda RX-2, 45,000, fully refurbished, leather seats. How did EOS in Geneva know you had gas for sale? You ain't give me that yet. But I know why now. They said it was original destination to St. Eustatius, and which was subsequently changed to Aruba. Euro Shipping was advised by management of the available products and the required due diligence process. So, management of Paria, you alerted the son of Rumperti that you had just received a gas tanker from his daddy. So he didn't know that. He needed you to tell them that my daddy got a tanker moving from Italy, Augustus, Italy. It changed to Trafigura midway through the Atlantic. And then it reached here. And I come to buy gas from Paria, and it happened to be the same gas my daddy is connected to. Okay. Number 2. As a consequence of this information, Paria was advised by one of the independent contractors retained to provide services to the vessel while in Trinidad that the nomination provide said service was requested by a company with Venezuelan ties. As a consequence of this information, Paria contacted Euro Shipping and specifically advised that Paria cannot transact business with any Venezuelan companies and that its product cannot be shipped to Venezuela. Euro Shipping advised on April 15, 2020 that the fuel was not destined for Venezuela. So they did not know through their due diligence, which they said the KYC, the company register, register of directors, passport of director, financial statements, and credit report, that this was Rumperti, linked to Chavez, Maduro, Chavista, Venezuela. They didn't know. They didn't know that Trafigura, who Paria did the invoice to, Trafigura gave them an invoice for the deposit, for the offload of the gas, and Paria then did an invoice for Trafigura. They did not know that this company has a long history with Rumperti. Well, your due diligence leaves a lot to be desired. On April 15, says this Paria release, 2020, payment was transferred from Deutsche Bank to Paria's bank account at the Royal Bank of Canada. Really? April 15th, right here in black and white, okay? Right? April 15th. Paria. That's why I asked Eustace Nances, Peter Clark, Christine Sahadio, and Mr. Salim, if you all agree with this. Because this says that the taxpayers' money was received from Deutsche Bank on the 15th into an RBC Paria account. I have the invoice here from Paria regarding this purchase. The invoice is dated the 27th of April. So Paria, how can EOS pay an invoice 12 days before they receive it? Huh? The silence is deafening. How can EOS do a wire transfer on the 15th when the invoice for EOS is generated on the 27th? What they pay? That is how business run? Second question, then done there, no? The banking details on this Paria invoice dated 27th April 2020, Paria Fuel Trading Company, registered office, Queen's Park, West, Port of Spain, Trinidad, telephone, bam, 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 to ES Euro Shipping SA, Trucroy Demtage, Geneve, right? And this is for 5.6 million US, eh? Here the next problem. Remember what banks this said? This said from Deutsche Bank to RBC Bank. And I hope RBC you're listening, because the media coming to ask you all some questions. And the police, but not the PNM police, the normal police. They have good ones, you know, but the PNM police giving them a bad name. The police coming to ask you all some questions, RBC, because this was printed. And if this is not correct, and you said nothing, well, God bless all you. Because on this invoice to EOS Shipping, right down here, let me read it for you. The bank beneficiary details, which is Paria's bank account. Full name of the account, Paria Fuel Trading Company Limited. Address 8th floor, Newtown Center, 30 to 36 Marval Road, Newtown, Port of Spain. Bank name and address: First Citizens Bank, 9 Queen's Park, Savannah, Port of Spain, Trinidad. Swift code, etc. So here Paria, in the advertisement on Tuesday, May 19th, says payment for the shipment was made by wire transfer from Deutsche Bank to RBC Paria account. Yet this is the invoice which was generated 12 days after, and the invoice stated First Citizens Bank, nothing to do with RBC. You got some question to answer, my friend? Another problem. Paria, you selling gas to make money? Because Paria paid based on their invoice from Trafigura. Paria paid for the shipment on the 27th day of February when it moved out, right? And it reached down on the 16th, dock on the 21st. Paria paid $6.25 million, but sold it to EOS Trading for $5.623 million. I'm trying to lose me, understand? I want to know what? Please, let me know. Let us know. And this is not for me. Look, all your media people, I am not a journalist. Could you all take I'm giving you all freedom to take the information, go and find Newman George and ask him all of these questions. One, how did he know and when did he know that you were buying gas from Augusta in Italy? And it left on February 27th. And what was the purpose of that purchase? And how? And is he aware that the purchase, when it left, it was for Shell, normal company without sanctions and so on. And midway through, it turned out to be Trafigura Pte Limited, Kolkekwe Ocean Financial Center, Singapore. This is the invoice. So this is not a Shell invoice. And when you research Trafigura, you would see a long history of Rumperti. You will see EOS Trading then approach Paria. I'm asking Paria, how did EOS in Geneva know that you had gas to sell? Where the advertisement? Waiting. And did you know that EOS is another Rumperti who is the son? Furthermore, the total, you said you did due diligence and the financials were given. EOS total revenue, annual revenue is 750,000 US. How could you sell them a cargo for 5.6 million US? How did they qualify to be able to pay that money? Do the laws of finance, do the principles of finance, do the principles of investment, do the principles of mortgage, do the principles of payment, credit, do these cease to exist at Paria? How can a company with an annual revenue of 750,000 purchase one cargo in one day for 5.6 million? Thirdly, which one is true? How could the money have been transferred to your RBC account from Deutsche Bank when the invoice from Paria was only generated 12 days after the 15th? Secondly, the invoice generated did not say nothing about RBC Bank. It said for Citizens Bank. So my final question is, has EOS really paid for any gas whatsoever? Take a break. And welcome back to douglAR Politics. I think I have one more question regarding that situation, with the fuel gate. You see how serious it has just gotten? So before we left, I asked you, so y'all media go and ask. Go and ask Newman George, Eustace Nancis, Peter Clark, Christine Sahadio, and Reza Salim, if they agree with that. Go and ask them, based on what you printed in the newspaper for the public, that payment was made on the 15th, but yet the invoice from Paria is the 27th, 12 days later, and different bank accounts. Ask them to explain the difference in what was so-called purchased by Paria and then sold at a loss, whatever. Tell them explain that. And furthermore, do you all know something very funny? And I'm asking you all out there, because I never did no shipment of oil and cargo and thing. You all out there who in maritime business and so on will know this question. When you do your customs and excise thing and so on, when cargo leaving, or when it leaving, don't you have to do all those things with your taxes and things before it leave? Or can those documents be generated after the cargo gone? I don't know. I never had no cargo. Here the question. Let me be clear. When a ship has loaded here at Point of Pain, whatever the cargo, in this case gas, and gas has some specific laws and taxes that have to be paid and so on. And I'm asking you customs and excise officers and so on. Before I advise the captain of the ship, before I bounce my starter, must all my paperwork be done? Must all my paperwork be in order before that cargo, before all you take off the rope and the ship move? If that is so, then I ask the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the customs people at Pointe-a-Pierre who stamped this document that I have here, how come this document, which involves taxes and duties of that cargo, was generated on the Sunday before the motion of Wademark on the Monday? Did you all hear my question? How come this document from Customs and Excise, with the cargo that left on the Aldan, with EOS Euro Trading Shipping, how come those customs documents are dated the Sunday before the motion on the Monday that Wademark brought? Now, this is my final segment. And now as you see what is going on with Venezuela and Rowley, and they're trying to claim now, Rowley and Roger, too clung, that there's some sort of foreign policy that we are supposed to figure out and guess and get behind. What exactly is Rowley's foreign policy with regards to Venezuela? Because if there was a specific philosophical foreign policy, as I've told you all before, then there's no need to hide. If you have the position as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, fireburn the US and the big stick policy, I am going to trade with my neighbor Venezuela, and I recognize Maduro, and I doing business. Why all this? Why fuel gate? But you get catch with your Bartex down, and now you're balling it is a policy. What policy? To surreptitiously open the border and let a plane land and don't know who on it and stutter. I'm just finding out as Jubal Cham. That's the policy. That can be a policy. And if it is your policy, put it in the manifesto, election coming, and tell the people that you love Maduro. You support Maduro. You want to trade with Maduro. You don't care that Maduro is under indictment for narco-terrorism, for corruption, money laundering, and drug trafficking. That you and your PNM are for Maduro. Say so. And let the Trinis vote. Because the Trinis will have to decide whether they want that, which means no visa, no Disney World, no business, no soca artists, Trump on retail. That is an election issue. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Keith Christopher Rowley and Roger tried to say to you, and yes, I'm going over time here because the information is very important. They tried to say to the population of Trinidad and Tobago that under the UN Charter, his government, Keith Christopher Rowley and Smallpin, they recognize Maduro. Maduro is the duly elected president, and they don't recognize Juan Guaido as any president. First and foremost, nobody recognizes Juan Guaido as any president. He is the interim president in order to facilitate the constitution of Venezuela for 90 days to have elections. So you don't even know what you're talking about. However, listen carefully, and I'm going to go through with you now what has taken place in Venezuela for the last 19 years that has led us to this point. And I'm going to show you what Keith Christopher Rowley is upholding. And you can also link it to Guyana, where members of his cabinet and members of his government were boasting that they won an election with Granger and so on. Never mind, it was GCOM and so on, was some of the most corrupt things we have ever seen in the history of elections in the planet. For the last 3 months, it's not even finished yet. But Rowley, member Lovell Francis and so on, yes, we win and celebrating. So we have Guyana, we have Venezuela. Archie, play the little clip of Chavez. Remember, Chavez died in 2013. I am going to play a clip for you from 1989, before Hugo Chavez became presidente de Venezuela. Play it, Archie.
Menos mal que es televisión. Todos están viendo abogados, etcétera, y saben quién es el galletado. Por eso lo va a decir la gente.
Oye, cómo no, sí, claro, la gente ve y oye. Mira, Oscar, te faltó un pequeñito detalle.
¿Cuál?
Pequeño detalle nada más.
¿Cuál?
Que la constituyente, después de discutir el modelo político necesario y conveniente para un país, no puede decidirlo, sino que tiene que someter a referéndum y preguntarle,
totalmente falso.
Óyeme, y preguntarle a los venezolanos.
What that clip was saying, that interviewer, that is before Chavez won the election, the interviewer was saying, no, you are going to be a dictator. You are going to abuse the constitution. You are going to take the people and you are going to mama guide them. That's what the man was arguing with him for. Chavez then won the election. In Venezuela, the constitution says 2 terms. Chavez changed that. In 1998, after he won in 94, in the second term, he changed that because he would have finished. And he said he could be president however many times he changed the constitution. Then, Chavez was getting sick. He won his election in October 2012, right? But he was very sick. He died in 2013, right? The leader of the opposition back then was a man called Capriles. Capriles lost to Chavez in October 2012 election. In December 2012, Chavez sick. Chavez know he's going to die. Chavez tells his people, this is my successor, Maduro. You must vote for Maduro. He didn't have no election for no political leader and so on. Chavez said in December 2012, you must vote for Maduro. So, like Pandey say, he take the cow, he hand Maduro the cow. Chavez died March 2013. Maduro took over. In June 2013, there was an election. Maduro versus Capriles. And listen very carefully. And remember what I started off the show with. We don't have an independent EBC here. You have a relative of a minister on one side. And you all think that's not a serious thing. June 2013. Maduro versus Capriles. Maduro won. But the constitution of Venezuela says you can call for a hand recount. Capriles called for a hand recount. The boxes could not be found. The votes of all the people of Venezuela could not be found for recount. Later on, children found them in the river, El Guaire River. They saw boxes of votes floating. So there was no recount. And Maduro kept power. CNA, Centro Nacional Electoral, that is the EBC of Venezuela. The leader there was Tibisay Lucena, like our Narcissus here, related to Coffee, right? And like GCOM. They had an election, another election on 20th May 2018. Remember, some of you all said, well, look at Kamala in 2014 shaking Maduro's hand. That was long before the real bacchanal, before the stamping on the constitution of Venezuela by Maduro. In that election that they didn't even have the recount, which was bad enough, that was still 72% voter turnout, okay? The normal voter turnout in Venezuela is 74%, 74%, right? Good. So election 20th May 2018. Maduro had locked up some opposition forces and things. He used his police. You see how this, I'm just showing you all how this douglAR politics, everything connected. He used his Maduro police. Like we discussed, Paul Gary, they are PNM police. And he locked up some opposition, the leaders and so on. He called an early election 3 months before constitutionally due. And only 46% of the population turned out to vote. 28% less than normal. And he claimed victory. Now in Venezuela, they have something like a parliament and then like a senate. The National Assembly, Asamblea Nacional, that is where the opposition forces are. So you vote and they are there. Right? And then there's the Asamblea Constituyente. Maduro then, after winning that election, 46%, say he's the president, he eliminated the opposition assembly, the parliament, the Asamblea Nacional. And then he reconstituted the Asamblea Constituyente, which already was only supposed to be Chavistas or Maduristas. But he changed it. And look who he put. His wife. He put Astrobal Chavez, Chavez brother. Egan Chavez, Chavez next brother. He put real close friends to control everything and control the coffers and the treasury. Rowley, Noel Garcia, Newman George, Richard Young, Smallpin Young, Kwamena. I just want all you to see if all you're seeing any kind of connectivity, connection, or anything that all you should take cognizance of. Maduro said the result of the December 2015 was not good. So he called elections not for both assemblies, but for one, just his own, and he locked out all the opposition. In this election on the 30th of July, Maduro put only Celia Flores, that his wife, Maduristas like Astrobal Chavez, Chavez brother, Delcy Rodriguez, Adan Chavez as Minister of Culture. And that's what he did. Now the question is, that tonight's show shows you what's taking place here in Trinidad and Tobago. All of our independent institutions are no more. The one standing is the judiciary. The police trying to stand under Gary Griffith. But Gary Griffith and all know, It have police like they not take any on. Police reporting to small pin. Police reporting to ministers. Police controlled by the executive. Police controlled by the government. What madness are we talking about? So vote come in. Do you all want Venezuela for Trinidad and Tobago? Because that's where we're at right now. Election is not no football game. No red side, yellow side, drink rum and see who win. Very serious things. Let me tell you something. Let me read something for you in some of the Spanish part of the Guardian to let you know it continues in Venezuela. Maduro o Guaido, right? While Rowley is saying he recognized Maduro, Rowley never read Venezuela constitution. He didn't know what I just went through with y'all to show how Maduro is illegitimate. He's a dictator and he's trampled on the constitution of Venezuela. Rowley support that and shouted at Kamala. Well, look, and y'all think Rowley's so bright? Let me read for you the Guardian. I don't know if y'all just read what all you print, but I thank y'all for printing it. Guardian, martes el 23 de junio, right? 23rd of June. Maduro o Guaido. La justicia británica examina quién representa al pueblo venezolano. El presidente encargado de Venezuela ha escrito 2 veces en febrero y abril de 2020 para pedir al Reino Unido que no entregue $1 million en oro régimen chavista. So there's some gold in a bank in London. And now the bank in London is trying in the courts of the United Kingdom to determine who has the right to receive it to help COVID in Venezuela. So the British justice system is now, as we speak, hearing arguments from Juan Guaido's lawyers, abogados de Juan Guaido and abogados de Maduro, hearing the case and will determine, based on the constitution and reading and analyzing the constitution of Venezuela, who is the presidente or presidente in waiting entregado, meaning the interim president of Venezuela. So here it is. The courts in London are listening to legal arguments, constitutional arguments, teams of lawyers to determine. But Rowley sit down here with small pin, with the two done self and say, hey, where's Maduro? Where's Maduro? Send Moses. Moses, take your blue tablet and put all of Trinidad and Tobago at risk. And have a clown like Roger. But then he going and open a refinery for 13 billion and I say where the money coming from. I went on long. I hope you all have the information. Do not vote subconsciously. Make a conscious decision. Keith Christopher Rowley and Smallpin Young have obliterated foreign policy. They have put our nation and our people at risk. And that is an election topic. Fuelgate has just gotten worse. You got the information. Any members of the media, please take the information. You don't have to give Anil credit. Anil don't want no credit for nothing. All you do all your work. And go and ask Newman George, Eustace Nances, Christine Sarade, Peter Clark, and Salim. Go and ask them if they agree with this statement. Get the advertisement from the newspaper. Go and ask Rowley. Go and ask Smallplane. Let's hear Rowley stutter some more. And buff all you. Because you want to bully. Look at Maduro's press conferences. Same thing. Media ask him a question. Bully. Ask Rowley a question. Bully. Boy, Rowley, I really wish I was right there with them opposition with David Lee and Kamran and Tim Gopi Singh and Fuad and them there. Who you feel you could bully? You're coward. And you're carrying Trinidad and Tobago to hell in a handbasket because you want to procure and call in other people thief. Boy, Rowley, fire, burn you, boy. We gone.
The sun rises slowly over the hills. Everywhere is cold and sunlight, but still most private hotels at
crowded. Yeah, there's a dark cloud that's shrouded. They don't smile and they never will. Only vultures get the fill. Empty promises is what they hear. No running water from year to year. Hearts that no one desire. That if there is a Messiah, someday he hear their whispered prayer. Covered always bare and scanty. 10 people in a one-bedroom shanty. Forced to sell on the pavement.